What do you mean the plasma cannons didn't work? Supreme Commander Zixtal's voice crackled with barely contained rage across the bridge of the Caraxian flagship Inevitable Victory. Those weapons can melt through 20 meters of reinforced neutronium. Sir, I don't know how to explain this, Lieutenant Curthin stammered, their tentacles writhing nervously as they replayed the tactical footage. The human just stood there. Then they asked if we were done and if we'd like some coffee. The massive viewing screen showed a close-up of a rather unremarkable human female in what appeared to be pink pajamas decorated with cartoon animals, casually brushing some ash off her shoulder where the plasma blast had struck. The timestamp showed this was from less than 5 minutes ago. Coffee? Zixtal's primary heart nearly seized. They offered our strike team beverages? Yes, sir, she said, and I quote, "Look, I just woke up and I haven't had my morning coffee yet. Since you guys are here and all, would you like some? I've got this amazing Brazilian roast I've been saving." The Supreme Commander collapsed into his command chair, all 4 of his arms going limp. This was supposed to be simple. The Caraxian Empire had conquered 17 star systems in the past solar cycle alone. Their technology was centuries ahead of Earth's. Their weapons were the most advanced in the known galaxy. And yet, "Play it again," he ordered, leaning forward to study the footage more closely. The scene unfolded once more, their elite shock troops materializing in what appeared to be a modest apartment. The human female, identified in their intelligence reports as Sarah Chen, age 27, administrative assistant, looking up from her phone with mild annoyance rather than terror. The troops opening fire with enough firepower to level a small city. And then, nothing. The plasma just dissipated, like water hitting a duck's back. "Sir," his science officer, Dr. Venra, cleared their throat. "I've been analyzing the readings, and, well, you're not going to believe this. At this point, I'll believe anything. Speak. The human skin appears to be completely invulnerable. Not just to plasma weapons, but to everything we've tried. We've run simulations of every weapon in our arsenal, and according to our calculations, they would all just bounce off." Zixtal felt a headache building behind all 3 of his eyes. "Explain, now." "Well, sir, it seems that humans evolved on a planet that is, by any reasonable standard, absolutely horrifying. Their gravity is crushing, their atmosphere is corrosive, their temperature swings are extreme, and their background radiation levels would kill most sentient species within days. To survive in such conditions, their bodies developed defenses. Defenses strong enough to withstand our most powerful weapons? Sir, their bodies routinely withstand forces that would tear our ships apart. They drink chemicals that would dissolve our hull plating. For fun, they deliberately expose themselves to dangerous levels of UV radiation to change their skin color. They voluntarily eat substances that cause them pain because they enjoy the sensation. They are, to put it simply, terrifying." On the screen, Sarah Chen could be seen walking into her kitchen, completely ignoring the heavily armed troops who were now having what appeared to be collective existential crises. She began measuring coffee beans into a grinder. "Would anyone like it with cream?" Her voice came through clearly on the recording. "I've got oat milk too, if anyone's lactose intolerant. Oh, and sorry about your plasma gun thingy. Hope I didn't break it when it bounced off. Those look expensive." The Supreme Commander watched as one of his elite troops, a veteran of 100 battles, slowly raised their hand and mumbled, "Oat milk, please." "Sir," Lieutenant Curthin interrupted, "we're receiving a transmission from Earth." "Put it through," Zixtal sighed, already knowing this wasn't going to go well. The screen filled with the image of a human male in what appeared to be sleeping attire, covered in cartoon representations of something called Baby Yoda. "Hey there," the human said cheerfully. "I'm Mark Thompson, Assistant Deputy to the Interim Acting Secretary of First Contact Situations. Sorry about the pajamas. Your invasion caught us during our night cycle. Anyway, I just wanted to let you know that we've received several complaints about your troops interrupting people's morning routines. While we totally understand the whole conquest thing, we do have proper diplomatic channels for this sort of thing. Have you considered filing a Form IC-27B6? It's for intended hostile first contact scenarios." Zixtal blinked all 3 eyes in succession. What? "Oh, and Sarah, the lady your troops are having coffee with? She asked me to mention that she's actually our designated first contact social coordinator for your sector. Lucky break there. She's great at her job. Makes a mean cup of coffee, too." On the other screen, Sarah was now showing one of the troops how to properly steam oat milk. The soldier was taking notes. "I don't understand." Zixtal finally managed. "We came to conquer your world, to subjugate your species. Why are you being so pleasant about it?" Mark shrugged. "Well, you're not the first to try, and you seem nicer than most. Usually we get the whole kneel before us primitive scum speech first. At least you guys went straight to the plasma cannons. Very efficient. We appreciate that." How many species have tried to invade Earth? This week? You're the third. It's been a bit busy. Usually we only get 1 or 2 a month. But hey, that's why we set up the diplomatic department, right? Speaking of which, would you be interested in joining us for breakfast? Sarah's making coffee for your troops anyway, and I've got some amazing banana bread I just baked yesterday. The Supreme Commander of the mighty Caraxian Empire, conqueror of 17 star systems, terror of the galaxy, found himself nodding numbly. Yes, actually. That sounds nice. Great. I'll send you the coordinates. Oh, and don't worry about parking. There's a spacecraft lot behind the building. Just make sure to get your ticket validated, or they'll charge you an arm and a leg. Metaphorically speaking, of course, though I notice you have 4 arms, so maybe you can spare one? Mark chuckled at his own joke. As the transmission ended, Dr. Venra cleared their throat again. "Sir, I've been doing more research on humans while you were talking. Did you know they intentionally juice and drink beans for stimulation? And they deliberately ferment grains until they become toxic, then drink the toxins for recreation? That's the coffee they're offering us, isn't it?" "Yes, sir. And apparently they consider it necessary for basic functioning. Many humans consume it multiple times daily." Zixtal stood up, straightening his uniform. "Well then, we better not keep them waiting. Lieutenant, set a course for their coordinates. Doctor, find out what banana bread is and make sure it won't kill us. And someone figure out what a baby Yoda is. I don't want to appear culturally ignorant." As the inevitable victory changed course from invasion trajectory to brunch approach, Sarah Chen was teaching the elite Caraxian shock troops how to make latte art. 2 of them were already arguing about whether hearts or rosettes were superior designs, while a third was posting pictures to their species equivalent of Instagram. 3 weeks later, the Caraxian Empire signed its first trade agreement with Earth. The primary export? Coffee beans. The secondary export? Barista training programs. The Supreme Commander himself became known for his excellent cappuccinos, though he maintained that the secret was in the oat milk. And Sarah Chen, she got a promotion, a raise, and her own coffee shop in the newly established Interstellar Diplomatic District. She named it First Contact Cafe, and it became the unofficial meeting spot for all future alien invasion forces. The plasma scorch marks on her apartment wall were framed and became something of a tourist attraction. As for the banana bread, well, that's classified information, but rumor has it that 3 different species added it to their list of controlled substances, claiming it was too addictive to be legal. Just another day on Earth, really. When the next invasion fleet arrived 2 months later, they were greeted with a punch card system. Invade Earth 5 times, get your 6th invasion free, coffee and banana bread included. The punch card was, of course, completely invulnerable to all known weapons in the galaxy, just like its creators. "Welcome to First Contact Cafe. Today's special is our Total Surrender Turtle Mocha with optional conquest sprinkles. Can I interest you in our invasion rewards program?" Sarah Chen's cheerful greeting made Supreme Overlord Zarkax of the dreaded Mechanoid Collective pause mid-threat. Their cybernetic eye whirred in confusion as it attempted to process the menu floating in holographic splendor behind the counter. We are here to assimilate your species into our perfect machine empire," Zarkax announced, though with notably less conviction than when they'd rehearsed it in front of their command staff. "Oh, you're the 1030 invasion," Sarah brightened, checking her tablet. "Perfect timing. We just pulled some fresh shots of our Resistance's futile roast. It's a dark roast blend with notes of chocolate, caramel, and existential crisis. Very popular with cybernetic species." Behind Zarkax, their elite squad of cyborg warriors was already examining the pastry display with intense interest. One of them raised a metallic hand. "Query, what is this croissant construct?" "That's our quantum-entangled croissant," Sarah explained. "Butter-laminated dough folded through 11 dimensions. Goes great with our binary blend brew." "We do not consume organic sustenance," Zarkax stated firmly, even as their olfactory sensors registered the enticing aroma of freshly baked goods. "We have evolved beyond such primitive needs." "Oh, don't worry. We have a whole synthetic menu. After the Caraxian incident, we developed a full line of robot-friendly options. Would you like to try our WD-40 Frappuccino? It's servo-smoothing and comes with optional magnetic whipped topping. At a nearby table, Supreme Commander Zixtal of the Caraxian Empire, now a regular, looked up from his oat milk latte and waved cheerfully. The banana bread is worth temporarily reinstalling digestive protocols, he called out helpfully. This is not proceeding according to invasion protocols, Zarkax muttered, their circuits nearly frying as they tried to adapt to the situation. Our intelligence indicated Earth was a primitive world ripe for cybernetic conversion. Oh, those intelligence reports, Sarah laughed, already preparing a WD-40 Frappuccino. They never mention the coffee, do they? You know, the Zlorgax hive mind made the same mistake last week. They ended up installing taste buds across their entire collective consciousness just to properly appreciate our hive mind honeyed latte. They're now our biggest franchise partners in the Crab Nebula. Franchise partners? Sure. After all, why invade when you can invest? Our profit margins are better than most planetary conquests, and the paperwork is much simpler. Plus, our franchise package includes barista training, equipment maintenance, and a complimentary set of Earth-proof battle armor that we'll probably never use because, you know. She gestured to her completely invulnerable skin. One of the cyborg warriors had already ordered 3 croissants and was in the process of installing a dedicated pastry analysis module. Another was photographing their WD-40 Frappuccino for the mechanoid social network. This defies all tactical logic, Zarkax protested weakly, even as they found themselves accepting the perfectly prepared beverage Sarah handed them. Our weapons had no effect on your infrastructure or populace, and now you're offering us business opportunities? Welcome to Earth, Mark Thompson cheerfully interjected, entering the cafe in his now famous Baby Yoda pajamas. I see you've met Sarah. I brought fresh banana bread. That's classified, Sarah winked, but it comes with free refills if you sign up for our loyalty program. And before you ask, yes, the loyalty cards are also indestructible. We had to make them that way after the Quantum Destroyer Armada tried to disintegrate them to avoid paying for their macchiatos. By the end of the day, the dreaded Mechanoid Collective had signed a franchise agreement, ordered a gross of quantum croissants for their flagship, and installed a dedicated coffee appreciation subroutine across their entire network. Zarkax was last seen discussing latte art algorithms with a particularly artistic Caraxian shock trooper. The invasion fleet was repurposed into the galaxy's most efficient coffee delivery service, because as Sarah pointed out, those antimatter drives are perfect for maintaining optimal bean freshness during interstellar transport. Back in her office, now upgraded with quantum-sealed walls after the incident with the time-traveling baristas of Dimension X, Sarah updated the First Contact Cafe's statistics board. Invasions converted to franchise agreements, 47. Weapons tested against human skin, 12,849. Emergency digestive protocols, installed, 3,276. Banana bread-related diplomatic incidents, 16. Customer satisfaction rating. Current status, serving. You know, Mark mused, updating his First Contact paperwork. We should probably tell them about pizza at some point. Sarah nearly dropped her coffee. Nearly. One thing at a time, Mark. The galaxy can only handle so many human culinary revelations. Remember the great hot sauce panic of last month? 3 galaxies away, the spice-tolerant Imperium was still recovering. Just another day at First Contact Cafe, where the coffee was hot, the pastries were metaphysically perfect, and the customers were legally obligated to stop trying to conquer Earth after their first cappuccino. It was right there in the loyalty program terms and conditions, after all. And nobody, not even the most advanced civilizations in the universe, ever reads those. Sarah, we might have a situation, Mark Thompson announced, rushing into First Contact Cafe while attempting to straighten his Baby Yoda pajamas. The Temporal Pancake Federation is about to arrive. Sarah Chen, now officially Earth's most successful First Contact specialist, and purveyor of intergalactic hot beverages, barely looked up from where she was teaching a group of silicon-based life forms how to properly appreciate the texture of scones. Time travelers or breakfast enthusiasts? Both. Their entire civilization is based around the perfect breakfast food, and they've mastered time travel solely to ensure their pancakes are always served at the optimal temperature. That's actually kind of impressive, Sarah admitted, already moving to prep the griddle. What's the situation part? They've detected our banana bread. The cafe went silent. Even the quantum croissants stopped vibrating through multiple dimensions. Supreme Commander Zixtal, enjoying his regular morning oat milk latte, dropped his spoon. Supreme Overlord Zarkax's cybernetic monocle began displaying error messages. 3 members of the spice-tolerant Imperium, still recovering from their hot sauce adventure, preemptively activated their emergency cooling systems. How? Sarah demanded. The banana bread recipe is kept in a time-locked safe. Apparently they've developed temporal taste buds. They can literally taste things through time. And they're offended that we've created what they're calling the perfect breakfast item, without proper temporal certification. Before Sarah could respond, the air in the cafe began to ripple. Multiple points in space-time folded in on themselves, and suddenly the establishment was filled with beings wearing what appeared to be chef's hats, made of crystallized time itself. "Cease and desist!" announced the lead figure, brandishing what looked suspiciously like a spatula made of condensed chronons. "You have violated the temporal breakfast accords of every Wen." Sarah took a deep breath, adjusted her apron, and did what she did best. "Welcome to First Contact Cafe. Today's special is our time-twisted tiramisu coffee blend, guaranteed to taste great in past, present, and future tenses. Would you like to hear about our breakfast menu?" The temporal beings faltered. Their leader's spatula drooped slightly. We came to serve you with a violation of... Our fresh-baked timeline includes classics from every when and where, Sarah continued smoothly. And yes, that includes the banana bread, which I'd be happy to discuss over a cup of our Paradox Prevention Press, a special blend that tastes better the more you try to analyze its quantum state. "You dare speak to us of quantum states?" another temporal being demanded. "We have mastered the very fabric of time itself to ensure the perfect fluffiness ratio in pancakes, yes. I've heard amazing things about your work. In fact, we have a temporal physics professor who comes in every Tuesday, Thursday, and simultaneously who would love to discuss breakfast optimization theories with you. Would you like to try our Schrodinger's scone while you wait? It's both the best and worst scone you'll ever have until you take a bite." The temporal beings huddled together, whispered frantically, and then their leader turned back to Sarah. "We would like to see your breakfast preparation facilities." "Of course. We just installed a new griddle that exists in a perpetual state of optimal cooking temperature by technically never starting or finishing the heating process. The Mechanoid Collective helped us work out the quantum mechanics." Zarkax raised their WD-40 Frappuccino in proud acknowledgement. What followed was either 3 hours or 7 centuries. Temporal physics made cafe management a real headache, of intense breakfast discussion. The Temporal Pancake Federation's experts analyzed every aspect of First Contact Cafe's morning menu, paying particular attention to the infamous banana bread. "This is impossible," one of them finally declared, staring at a slice through their time monocle. "The moisture content maintains perfect consistency across all possible timelines. The banana ripeness exists in a quantum superposition of ideal states. Even the crumb structure demonstrates temporal stability that our most advanced pancake scientists haven't achieved." "Oh, that's just how my Grand's recipe works," Sarah shrugged. "Would you like the secret? You would share such knowledge?" The temporal beings leaned forward eagerly. "Of course. First Contact Cafe believes in open exchange of breakfast technologies. Though I should warn you, like everything else humans make, the recipe card is completely invulnerable to temporal manipulation, paradox induction, or quantum state alteration." "Just like their skin," Zixtal commented to a nearby temporal being. "Don't waste your time with the weapons testing. We've all tried. Have you considered a franchise opportunity instead?" By the end of the temporally ambiguous day, the Temporal Pancake Federation had 1. Withdrawn all charges of breakfast-related temporal violations. 2. Signed up for the First Contact Cafe loyalty program. Their cards existed at all points in time simultaneously. 3. Agreed to share their time-locked pancake techniques in exchange for the banana bread recipe. 4. Installed a permanent temporal causality loop to ensure the cafe's coffee was always freshly brewed at the exact moment it was ordered, regardless of when that order occurred in conventional space-time. "You know," Mark mused, watching a group of temporal physicists argue with the Mechanoid Collective about the proper way to butter toast across multiple dimensions. "We should probably warn them about waffles." Sarah nearly dropped a plate of Paradox stable pastries. "One breakfast revolution at a time, Mark. The multiverse can only handle so much human cooking." She glanced at the newest addition to the cafe's menu board. "Temporal Special, yesterday's coffee, served tomorrow. Available today. Warning. May cause temporary displacement of taste buds through time. Temporal food critics, please exist in a single moment while reviewing." In the corner, a temporal being was teaching a Caraxian shock trooper how to flip pancakes through a time portal, while a cybernetic barista calculated the perfect moment to add chocolate chips to achieve maximum flavor distribution across all possible timelines. Just another temporally confused day at First Contact Cafe, where the coffee was always fresh, the banana bread defied the laws of physics, and the customers had finally stopped trying to figure out why they couldn't conquer a species that had mastered the art of breakfast. Some mysteries, after all, are better left untasted. Please tell me those aren't what I think they are, Sarah Chen said, staring at the swirling, iridescent clouds materializing outside First Contact Cafe. Mark Thompson, clutching his Baby Yoda mug, nodded grimly. Mimetic spore entities from the Psychic Gastronom Collective. They apparently caught wind of our menu through shared consciousness networks. Let me guess. They're here to either destroy or conquer Earth. Actually, they're here to file a complaint about our spice ratings. Apparently, we're violating several intergalactic regulations by not having a warning label that reads, "This way lies madness," on our hot sauce display. The ethereal clouds coalesced into vaguely humanoid shapes composed entirely of shifting recipes and culinary mathematics. Their leader, a particularly complex swirl of theoretical taste formulas, floated forward. "Attention, primitive beings! We have come to—" The entity paused, their entire form rippling as they processed the scene before them. Supreme Commander Zixtal was teaching Supreme Overlord Zarkax the fine art of latte foam manipulation, while a temporal being offered quantum state suggestions for optimal microfoam stability. In the corner, 3 members of the spice-tolerant Imperium were still nursing their pride and their taste buds after last month's hot sauce incident. "Welcome to First Contact Cafe?" Sarah's greeting was as cheerful as ever. "Today's special is our Consciousness Expansion Cappuccino, guaranteed to give you new taste dimensions to incorporate into your collective. Would you like to hear about our psychic-friendly menu?" The mimetic spore entities wavered uncertainly. Their leader's form flickered between complex algorithmic patterns representing confusion and curiosity. We have received concerning reports about your establishment's approach to capsaicin derivatives," the entity finally managed. "Our most advanced culinary consciousness architects have detected potential timeline distortions centered around your hot sauce collection." "Oh, you must mean our human heat tolerance display. Yes, we had to implement some temporal containment protocols after the Scotch bonnet incident. Would you like a sample? We recommend starting with our mild sauce. It only violates 3 laws of thermodynamics instead of the usual 7. The entities huddled together, their forms merging briefly in what appeared to be intense psychic deliberation. When they separated, their leader had taken on a distinctly worried pattern. "Your species considers violation of fundamental physical laws mild? Only for the starter sauces," Sarah explained, already preparing a tasting station. "Once you get into our medium range, we start breaking quantum mechanics. The hot sauces require signing a waiver acknowledging the possibility of spontaneous enlightenment." A junior entity raised what might have been a hand. "And your extra hot options?" "Currently classified as potential reset buttons for the universe. We had to install a parallel dimension just to store them safely. The Temporal Pancake Federation helped with the space-time engineering." At a nearby table, a temporal being nodded sagely while buttering toast across 3 different timelines. "Impossible," one of the entities declared. "No biological species could evolve to tolerate such levels of—" "Would you like to try our Tuesday special?" Sarah interrupted smoothly. "It's a consciousness-expanding blend of our house coffee with just a touch of our mildest hot sauce. We find it helps visiting psychic entities adjust to the concept of human spice tolerance." The entities conferred again, their patterns shifting rapidly between fear, fascination, and what appeared to be complex theoretical calculations about the nature of masochistic gastronomy. "We will attempt your Tuesday special," their leader finally announced. "But be warned, our collective consciousness has processed the flavor profiles of 1,000 worlds. We have mapped the very mathematics of taste itself. The entity paused as Sarah handed them what appeared to be a completely normal cup of coffee. They extended their consciousness into the liquid, analyzing its quantum structure, its metaphysical properties, The entire collective suddenly blazed with light, their patterns accelerating through colors humans couldn't see. Mathematical formulas for flavor spiraled through their forms at impossible speeds. This is... The leader's form kept shifting between exclamation points in 17 different mathematical systems. "Just wait until you try it with a cranberry scone," Sarah suggested. 3 hours later, the Psychic Gastronom Collective had 1. Completely rewritten their fundamental theories of flavor. 2. Requested permanent embassy space in the cafe's new psychic tasting dimension. 3. started a heated philosophical debate with the Mechanoid Collective about whether silicon-based life forms could appreciate the true complexity of human coffee culture. 4. Added 17 new colors to their consciousness, just to properly describe the experience of mild hot sauce. You know, Mark commented, watching a mimetic spore entity attempt to teach a temporal being how to appreciate coffee across all possible mental states simultaneously. We should probably warn them about wasabi. Sarah, who was helping a cybernetic barista calibrate their taste sensors to handle the concept of just a hint of spice, shook her head. One consciousness-expanding condiment at a time, Mark. The multiverse is still adjusting to sriracha. The cafe's new psychic menu board shimmered with items that could only be fully perceived by expanding one's consciousness into at least 6 dimensions. Today's specials. Transcendental tiramisu. May cause spontaneous understanding of the universe. Enlightenment espresso. Warning. Temporary omniscience possible. Widget's really mild hot sauce. Signed waiver and proof of reality insurance required. In the newly installed psychic tasting chamber, a group of mimetic entities was attempting to teach a Caraxian shock trooper how to appreciate coffee with all 7 of their mental states at once, while a cybernetic consciousness specialist calculated the optimal neural pathway configurations for processing the concept of just a dash of cayenne. Just another metaphysically complex day at First Contact Cafe, where the coffee expanded minds, the hot sauce defied physics, and customers had finally stopped asking why humans could casually consume substances that cause spontaneous enlightenment in other species. Some questions, after all, are better left unprocessed by even the most advanced collective consciousness. Sarah, why is there a dimensional rift in the condiment section? Mark Thompson asked, his Baby Yoda pajamas slightly distorted by the wavering reality around the cafe's preserved foods shelf. Sarah Chen, Earth's premier First Contact barista and now unofficial ambassador to 17-dimensional planes, sighed. The Interdimensional Preservation Council finally noticed our pickle jar collection. That's not good, is it? Let's just say they have some strong opinions about our fermentation practices. As if on cue, the rift expanded, and a being composed of pure preservation stepped through. Literally a walking, talking manifestation of the concept of keeping things fresh. Behind them came several entities that appeared to be sentient vacuum sealing processes. They stopped, noticing the cafe's current clientele. Supreme Commander Zixtal was explaining the concept of perfectly toasted to a temporal being, while a mimetic spore entity calculated the optimal psychic frequency for appreciating a properly browned bagel. Supreme Overlord Zarkax's cybernetic preservation sensors were already smoking as they tried to analyze the pickle display. Welcome to First Contact Cafe. Sarah's greeting carried its usual cheer. Today's special is our eternally fresh brew, aged for both 0 and infinite seconds simultaneously. Would you like to hear about our preserved foods menu? The preservation entity's form flickered between various states of conservation. We have received disturbing reports about your methods of food preservation. Our most advanced entropy analysts have detected impossible stability patterns in your fermented goods. Oh, you must mean our signature pickle collection. Yes, we've had to implement some special containment protocols after the sauerkraut situation last month. Would you like a sample? We recommend starting with our basic dills. They only violate 3 laws of entropy instead of the usual dozen. The vacuum-sealing entities clustered together, their forms hissing with what might have been concern. Your species considers violations of fundamental preservation constants. Basic? Their leader asked. Only for the starter pickles, Sarah explained, already reaching for a jar that seemed to exist in a perpetual state of optimal crunchiness. Once you get into our spicy pickled vegetables, we start breaking conservation laws. The kimchi requires signing a waiver acknowledging possible time-space fermentation effects. A junior preservation entity raised what might have been a lid. And your premium preserved items? Currently classified as potential entropy anchors for the multiverse. We had to install a specialized dimensional pocket just to store them properly. The Psychic Gastronome Collective helped with the consciousness expansion aspects. At a nearby table, a mimetic spore entity pulsed in agreement while psychically experiencing a perfectly preserved cucumber across all possible realities. Impossible, one of the vacuum sealers declared. No physical process could maintain such levels of... Would you like to try our Wednesday special? Sarah interrupted smoothly. It's a dimensionally stable blend of pickled vegetables with just a hint of our temporal brine. We find it helps visiting preservation entities adjust to the concept of human food storage methods. The entities conferred again, their forms shifting between various states of hermetic sealing. "We will analyze your Wednesday special," their leader finally announced. "But be warned, we have preserved the essence of countless civilizations. We have mapped the very mathematics of freshness across dimensional boundaries. The entity paused as Sarah handed them what appeared to be a completely normal pickle spear. They extended their preservation field around it, analyzing its temporal stability, its dimensional anchoring, The entire council suddenly flickered with impossible preservation states, their patterns cycling through freshness levels that shouldn't exist. This is... The leader's form kept shifting between various stages of perfectly preserved shock. "Just wait until you try our fermented hot sauce collection," Sarah suggested. 5 multidimensional hours later, the Interdimensional Preservation Council had 1. Completely rewritten their fundamental theories of food storage. 2. Requested permanent study rights to the cafe's preservation methods. 3. Started a heated debate with the Temporal Pancake Federation about whether linear time was actually necessary for proper fermentation. 4. Added several new dimensions to their existence, just to properly comprehend human pickling techniques. "You know," Mark commented, watching a preservation entity attempt to teach a cybernetic being how to appreciate the perfect crunch across multiple dimensional planes. "We should probably warn them about aged cheese." Sarah, who was helping a temporal being understand why humans deliberately let certain foods go bad to make them taste better, shook her head. "One preservation revelation at a time, Mark. The multiverse is still adjusting to kombucha." The cafe's new dimensional preservation menu shimmered with items that existed in several states of reality simultaneously. Today's specials: quantum pickled platter, may cause spontaneous understanding of entropy. Multi-dimensional kimchi. Warning: temporary transcendence possible. Widget's basic dill spears. Signed waiver and dimensional insurance required. In the newly installed preservation chamber, a group of vacuum-sealing entities was attempting to teach a mimetic spore being how to appreciate fermentation across all possible timelines, while a temporal preservation specialist calculated the optimal dimensional configurations for processing the concept of perfectly aged. Just another dimensionally complex day at First Contact Cafe, where the pickles defied physics, the fermentation transcended time, and customers had finally stopped questioning why humans could casually consume substances that cause spontaneous dimensional awareness in other species. Some mysteries, after all, are better left hermetically sealed.